Once you've got all of that apart, you can start off. So this, like I said in the previous video, it clips in. You can kind of like pull this back, and it will, yeah, just pop out, kind of like that. It'll just pop out like this, and then you can undo that screw there, and then you can just pop that off at the end. Lift that little tab up there. That should all just pretty much fall out like that. So obviously this is a different spring. The original spring that came with it is this one. So that's it there, as you can see. So that's all of it done. So and then you're left here obviously with the O-ring. So what you can do is take off the O-ring, put some grease on it, or replace it with another O-ring of your choice. Or what I often like to do is put a bit of a really thin piece of electrical tape around it, just to give it a bit of a better seal, and then put the O-ring on top of that. But yeah, I've just put some 2 O-rings on there that seal about the same. So then you can chuck on your other spring. So in this case, I'll just put the spring back on, because I honestly kind of feel like it's not going to hold up to this spring, because this is a modified sled spring, and this is incredibly tough. So I might actually put the old one back on just for the longevity of my gun. But you can put on a spring that's like similar dimensions to the ones that come off this if you've got some spare ones, or I'm not too sure if people sell these online, but a little bit of a hack before you do it is to kind of just stretch it out. So just grab it and pull it out, and then it'll give the spring a bit more pop to it when you put it all back together. Right, so you can slide that back on there, push that down. Obviously I'm going to need 2 hands to put it back together, and then put it back together. So you can see there's 2 little like pieces that stick out here. So it goes this way, so you can kind of see that there's 2 little indents for it to go that way. So once you've got the spring on, it just lines up like that. As you can see there. And then what you can do is you can just push it down, and then you can see that will that's the ratcheting mechanism there. You can use one finger pretty much to just, or your thumb, to push it down, and then just hold it in that little cutout there. And then you can just put on, oh, if it doesn't blow off in my hand, there we go. You can just put on that little rubber ring there, and alright, there it goes again. And then line it up with this here, like so. It'll just line up. It'll just line up like that. Well, I can't really show you now with one hand, but I'll put it back together and I'll show you what I mean. Right, and it all should be lined up like that. So you should have the rubber there, lined up like that, and then you can just, well, it'll probably sit like that anyway, because it doesn't really sit correctly. You'll have to pull it back a little bit and get it to line up when you put it back together. But that should all be done. So you should have your seal done now, your new spring if you put one in. Alright, and then what you can do is you can put it in here. So basically this goes and slots over here, but you have to pull this back as you slot this in. So you pull this back and then push that in, and it will slot in. So there we go. So I just pulled that back, pushed it in, let it forward, and it all slotted in nicely, and it will sit just like that there. Then we can kind of fiddle this in. So this goes over the side here, and it slots right into there. So this bit here slots right into there. So once I get it on, so you just slot that bit over there and that over the top, like this, and then it'll slot, you can see it'll slot in there, and then you can just get it to go, I don't know if anyone knows that Happy Gilmore reference where the ball goes into its home. You can just get it to go into its home there, except, you know, with Nerf guns that often doesn't happen. The ball does not go into its home, because, you know, why would something work when it cannot, right? But in this case it's not too hard. You can just slot it in fairly easily. And then what you do is you just push this in, because it goes in there, slots in there, and then that little tab there will line up there, and it all should just sit in there nicely like that and be pretty solid. Then we can put the trigger and all of the other stuff back. So the trigger just goes here, like that. You can just sit it in there, and then you get this one, and this one's pretty simple as well. You just slot that on, or actually, sorry, slot that on first, and that little, if it focuses, that little spring, like bit that juts out there, will kind of hook on that little bit of plastic there, and it'll just give it enough tension to do its job. Then you can put the trigger in after that, like so. And then we put this one on, and it should line up from memory. Which way does it go? One of the ways. And you can put this on this side, just this way here. So you slot it on here, like that. And that will kind of grab there. And then you can go and, when you set it in, just kind of move that spring. It's a bit difficult with one hand. Move that spring up there. Oh, hang on. So you just want that spring over the top there and that hooked on there. So it has tension like that. And then we can put the top of the cage back on. Cool, so you just put that on, do up the 3 screws, that should all be back together and all working. And then you can put this on, so it'll line up this way. So this just slots in like this. Like that. And yeah, it's a bit finicky, but when you put it together, if you just wiggle it around, it'll fit in. Right, so you can see there it's in, and on the other side as well. And then you can set it back in there and just feed that rod through the green part, like so. And then sit it back in. Oh, it might not sit very well on this side. I found I had to put it in the other side actually for it to sit right. So I might actually do that if I can't get it to line up properly in here. Let's see. So let me just fiddle around with it and see if I can get it to sit in right. So it's actually not sitting very nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it in the other side of the shell, and sit it in there because I found it's a bit easier. So I'm just going to go like this and sit it in this side here. Like that. So push that in, sit that in there. There we go. That's slotted in a lot nicer. So I can do that, and all I need to do is just make sure this handle is forward. That's forward. Flip the shell over. There we go. Just make sure everything lines up nicely. All right. Put this part on. Like that. Oh, and I might want to put that piece in if I ever want to put a sling on it. That's probably important. There we go. So everything's lined up. So you can see it's sitting nicely. Everything's working. So what I'll do now is just flip it around. Put all the screws back in. One thing I will say though, if you're having a bit of trouble getting it to clip together with this piece here, instead of hooking it down on that tab there, hook it up a little bit higher, give it a little bit more pressure. It'll help the trigger to work a bit better. At least that's what I found once I put it together and I hooked it there. It seemed to be a bit, it would slam fire sometimes and then it would fire sometimes, but if I hook it a little bit higher, give it a bit more pressure, it seems to run a lot smoother. Actually, on second thought, don't hook it there at all. Just scratch what I did there, hook it in a different spot. Apologise if you already had the shell together, but that's probably why I just realised that as I was putting it together. Alright, and then that's all back together. You can put the drum back in, which is literally just shoved up there, and it will work. And then we should be able to just like that. Yep. So I would say this is definitely hitting about 70 now. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, guys, and I hope it all went smoothly for you. And yeah, give me a comment down below of what you'd like to see in the future. I was thinking maybe I could go into my modded sledge fire that I've done, which is one of my favourites actually. So yeah, but anyway, that's all for today. Have a good one.